Hello, everybody. Good afternoon, good evening, depending where you are dialing in from. My name is Amanda Ryba, and if you don't know me, I am the founder of the Illuminate Your Wealth community, and it is my goal to basically illuminate to the world what wealthy people are doing with their money. And one thing that is on trend right now is cash value life insurance policies, or what I like to call IULs. People are loving the IUL product right now because it's an account where you can grow and build wealth inside of it, and is accessible to you in the future at any time, at any age, without any penalty, all tax free. So there's a lot of really great benefits and features to it. But there are a lot of things that you need to know to make sure that you are properly structuring and properly designing this product, either for yourself or for your client. So if you have been in the industry or you're new to the industry, and by industry I mean insurance industry, and you are looking for some knowledge and some information on how to properly structure these accounts, that is what we're going to be going over today. Or if you are a potential client, you're somebody that's been researching IULs for a long time. There's actually a handful of individuals that work on my team now that were a part, or we're essentially researching these accounts for a while. Hi, nice to meet you. Ramesh, nice to meet you. And you know, a lot of times they reach out because they just want to learn more for themselves, but then they end up wanting to work in the industry because they know so much, so they want to get out there and help other people. So regardless kind of which part you play, today we're going to dive right on into it. So if you don't know me, I've been working in the insurance space for about 8.5 years as of the date this live is happening, and I have been working with IUL policies the entire time. Now I know they're just getting more mainstream last couple years, but and I will also say that the way that we have designed them has changed drastically over the years. So today, my goal is to kind of take you into understanding the nitty-gritty inner workings and details on how to structure these accounts, depending on what the client's goal is with the policy. And one thing that I should say is in regards to how to properly structure these policies, it is very, very important that they are done correctly. And what is your country? So I'm in the United States of America. If you guys are dialing in from somewhere else, I cannot guarantee that the information I'm going to share with you today is going to be relevant, because these accounts are not necessarily available in every country. So my apologies for that. This is US only content we're going to be talking about today. But like I was sharing, there's really I'm going to say there's 4 different ways you can essentially design an IUL, right? Number one way you can design it is for supplemental tax-free retirement income. That is one way to do it. Another way is for actual permanent life insurance, long-term care living benefits, which is the life insurance component for it, right? Some people don't necessarily care about the cash value. You can also design them for infinite banking, which is immediate access to cash. And from there, you also can design them to be for children. So they can be juvenile accounts that kids can use for college, to buy their first car, to purchase their first home, to pay for a wedding. There's so many different things that you can design them to do. So today I'm going to kind of walk you through a little bit about how to do each one. So I'm going to share my screen and take you through it. So, well, actually, before I do that, I'm going to dive into the specifics here. So one thing that you need to understand is the more life insurance you get within an IUL policy, the more money you can put into the account. So essentially, if you want to save more money, you have to get a bigger policy. And if your goal is to grow cash value, like most people's is, you ideally want to get the least amount of life insurance required for the most amount of money that you want to contribute per month or per year, because that's going to help the cash grow the quickest inside the policy. So we're going to dive into it. This is an example of an individual that I was working with for whose goal is essentially for tax-free retirement. So I'm going to kind of show you a little bit about. So you should be able to see where it just says this individual is, here we go, female, 35 years old. I just put the state of California just because that's based off where I'm based out of. But here it doesn't really essentially matter. This product does change drastically if you live in the state of New York. So I apologize for that. But here we're looking at somebody getting a $500,000 death benefit. And let's say that their goal was to save $1,500 a month, which is $18,000 a year going into this account. So let me see if I can brighten this up a little bit. Help a little bit. There we go. And basically, these are the numbers that we want to be focusing on. So this number over here, this initial death benefit, this number controls everything. If we increase this, all these numbers are going to go up. If we decrease this, all these numbers are going to go down. So this is the mechanism that controls everything. So if we're looking at her wanting to put in $18,000 a year, what we want to be focusing on is this number, where we see guideline level premium. That is the most amount of money that you can contribute per year into your policy in all years. Now, what you're going to notice is 18,994. She is very close to the maximum, right, that she can contribute per year. She actually can't contribute anything in addition to that. Now, the 7-pay, they give you a little extra wiggle room in the first 3 to 5 years, depending on the age of the client. You can put in a little bit more money into those first couple of years. So I will be honest, I don't typically ever talk about this as being the maximum because it's really just the maximum in the first couple years. The guideline level premium is the maximum in all years of the policy. And then the minimum premium, if this client did not care about cash value and she just wanted it for permanent life insurance and living benefits, all she would have to put in per year is $2,880 a year to keep the account active. And this target premium, this is really what essentially the company would recommend the client funding in excess of. So if she's putting in $18,000 a year, the target's at $5,200. Well, that means that she's got $13,000 going in excess of target premium, which means that a lot more money is going to go towards her cash value than the cost of the policy. This also will determine the commission that your agent gets paid. This number is controlled by this number. So if somebody gets more life insurance, target premium is going to go up. The agent is going to make more money. So this is why it's important to understand all of this, because sometimes agents don't want to take a hit on their commission. A lot of times what I'll see is whatever the initial premium is, that equals the target. So that would mean that this life insurance number would probably jump all the way up to $1 million or maybe 1.5 million, and the target would equal the initial premium. Now, there are times where that might make sense, but if the client's goal is to grow cash value, that just doesn't make sense. We want this number to be as low as possible, so this number can be as high as possible, and she can get the most bang for her buck. And we're going to talk a little bit about that. So, and your guideline single premium, not really something that people are super concerned with. That's the most amount of money that you can contribute in the first 3 to 5 years without creating a MEC, which is a modified endowment contract, which would create a taxable event. And essentially, it's also the amount of money that if the company received that in the first 3 to 5 years, the policy would essentially be paid up and the client wouldn't need to contribute anymore. But that doesn't really pertain to this client because her goal is to grow cash value. So if we look, you're going to see years, how many years the account's been opened, age is how old she is and counting, premium is how much she's saving per year, $1,500 a month is $18,000 a year, and then you're going to see account value, surrender charge, and surrender value. So let's go like this. Account value is her cash. This is essentially the amount of money that she put in minus the cost to own it. That's going to equal her account value plus any interest that she earned. The surrender value is how much of her account value she has access to. So what you're going to notice is year one, she's got $16,000 in here. She does not have access to $8,950 of it. She does have access to $7,180 of it. So this is what she can't touch. This is what she can touch. And as the years roll on, she gets access to a higher and higher and higher percentage of her account value and her surrender value. And then the death benefit, this is the client's choice if they want it to be increasing, meaning the account value gets added to the death benefit, or if they just want it to be level, meaning it would just stay a flat $500,000 every year. If you guys are fans of Mr. Dave Ramsey, this is one reason why he does not know what he's talking about when it comes to IULs, because he says the company keeps your cash value when you die. Well, getting added to the 500,000 that we looked at earlier, right? 500,000 plus this number equals this number. So sorry, Dave, you're a little wrong on that one, a little bit behind the times, buddy. But essentially, if this client is going to be using this to grow cash value for retirement, if we shoot all the way down to, let's just say age 65, at age 65, she's got an account value, right, surrender value of what she can access of about $1.375 million inside that account. Now, if she chooses to start to take that out as somewhat of an income stream in retirement, you're looking at approximately $114,000 every single year in income. She's no longer contributing. She's taking money out every single year. Do it all the way till she's 90, right? So you do the math, $114,000 a year, 25 years, that's a pretty nice penny. Would you trade $18,000 a year for $114,000, almost $115,000 every single year tax-free in retirement? I think most people probably would. Now, yes, this is a fantastic account for supplemental retirement income, but she's also only 35 years old. Don't you think that she'd probably make more money in the future? If she's going to make more money in the future, you would actually want to give her a little bit of wiggle room so that her guideline level premium was a little bit higher. Because if it's $18,994 a year, well, she's already maxing it out. So what she would have to do is actually open up another IUL policy in the future if and when she's making more money that she can start to save money into. So well, yes, this works. If I was really structuring this for a client, essentially with the goal to use this for tax-free retirement, I would be asking them, like what realistically do you think you'll be bringing in income in the future? Do you think you're going to be making a lot more money in the future, that you're going to want to save more? Or do you feel like this is it? So if she would want to save more, then what we would want to do again is bump up that death benefit, get her a little bit more life insurance, which is going to give her a little bit more wiggle room so she can contribute more into this policy. Now, this is also not a bad scenario for infinite banking, but I'm going to show you guys a couple things too. So let me put you back up here. You are on my tripod. Let me fix it so it's not going to fall over. Boom. Okay. Kind of somewhat okay. So let's see if we were really going to truly use this for infinite banking. Actually, no, I lied. Let's first start with tax-free retirement because I don't want to confuse you guys. So let's just say that we maybe bump her life insurance up to, I'm just going to say $750,000 just to make it easy. And then let's look at what we would call an increasing premium, which is the ability to essentially save more money over time, right? More money as the years go on, which is going to give her more money in retirement. So allow this to update for me really quick. And then from there, we're going to talk a little bit about the infinite banking scenario where it's going to be more so immediate access to cash. So let's see. Let's say that she starts with saving her $1,500 a month for maybe 2 years. Then let's say she gets a raise and maybe she wants to bump that up to $1,700 a month for 2 years. Then let's say she gets another raise and maybe she wants to bump that up to $1,900 a month for 2 years. Then let's give her another raise and maybe put her up to $2,000 a month. And if you're thinking, what 35-year-old can save $2,000 a month? I live in the grand state of California, and pretty much everybody here works in tech. So a good chunk of them can do this. This is actually very common to see. Now, I also picked these numbers because they're also easy to divide. So if you're thinking for yourself, like how would this work? You can easily just split the numbers in half if it would be less for yourself. But it's going to give you a pretty good idea on essentially kind of how this works. So let's actually bump it up one more time to really give you guys the full idea on what this would look like. Let's delete this and let's go here. I think this will really give you guys a pretty good idea on, let's just say $2,200 a month. 65. Okay. Let's try that and see how this goes. You guys know me at all? You'll know I tend to make some interesting noises while I am waiting. I call it sound effects. I do a lot of sound effects as I am waiting for things to happen. So we're almost there. Let's bump it up one more smidge just to kind of see. Let's go here at 2,400 and see what this would look like. Get you guys a little closer to maxing it out. There we go. Okay, perfect. So I'm going to share my screen again and kind of walk you guys through the difference. So what you're going to see here with this client is we bumped it up to $750,000 in insurance, still the female that is 35 years old. And now with $750,000 in insurance, her guideline level premium went up to $28,494.59 a year. And we're still starting with that same $18,000 a year or $1,500 a month. But check out the target, right? The target went up to $7,900 a year, which would mean the agent's going to get paid more. But that's not necessarily a bad thing because it's going to give this client more wiggle room to put more money in. So if we zoom down here, this is going to show what we call an increasing premium, where maybe we're saving $1,500 a month, then $17,000, then $19,000, then $2,000, then $22,000, then $2,400 a month, right? Oop, as I'm dropping things. You're going to notice over here, right, the surrender value is lower this year than it was in the year prior because we're not close to the maximum number that we can contribute into the policy. But if we zoom all the way down to retirement age, which is 65, almost $2 million in here as opposed to 1.3 with the former option. And now check out her income from 114 to 160. And that's because she's saving obviously more money into the account. So this is probably the proper way, not probably, this is the proper way to have this designed if your goal is to use it for retirement income and you're young and you think you're going to make more money. Now we're going to talk in regards to how to design this for infinite banking. When we're designing it for infinite banking, we're actually going to focus on this number. The 7-pay premium, $42,825 a year. Remember, she's putting in $18,000 a year, but let's say she wants access to cash immediately. We have to focus on that 7-pay number. That is going to essentially get her, set you guys up. All right. That is going to get her access to infinite banking. So let's try this again. We're going to update this, and let's just say we do, let's do this. We'll go in for some infinite banking in the first 4 years. And infinite banking just means immediate access to cash, the ability to pull money out of the policy really quickly for things like maybe purchasing some real estate, maybe expanding a business. It could be any number of things that you're going to use it for. But I'm going to show you how this works. So let me share my screen. Okay, so same policy, right? So same policy. We're looking at that $750,000 in insurance. 7-pay is $42,825 a year. Check it out. $42,825. She's able to do that for the first 3 years, and then year 4 and 5 get super weird, right? And that's because of this number. Her guideline single premium, she cannot exceed that in the first 4 to 5 years, and this is basically saying she's exceeded it, right? So they're going to kick it back. But if we're trying to infinite bank, we're going to focus on the 7-pay premium. We want her to get close to putting in that number within the first couple years. So if she puts in $42,825 a year 1, she's going to have $39,810 in there. She cannot access $13,000 of it. She can access $26,385 of it in the very first year. Let's say she wants to take money out in year 2, right? She does it again, hits that 7-pay. Year 2, she can access almost $69,000 inside her policy. So maybe she wants to take out 50 grand to go put in the down payment on a new piece of property. Maybe she is looking for the opportunity to expand her business. Maybe she needs to go purchase some real estate or take a vacation, right? Whatever she wants to do, she has full access to this money. And then from there, she's just going to slowly, eventually start to fund it normally, right? Like what we had looked at before. Now, the cool thing is, because we're infinite banking, right? She's got full access to all of this surrender value. Everything that you see in here, she has full access to it. So the great thing is that as this grows, she can actually access her money. And if we come down here to retirement, because we hit that 7-pay in the first couple years, check it out, $181,000 every single year in income. If she focuses on hitting that 7-pay, would you trade $28,800 a year for $181,000 every single year, tax-free, in income, in retirement, accessible to tax-free? I think most people would. Now, I should also put the disclaimer in here that we are looking at a 35-year-old female that is healthy female, non-smoker. Y'all are crooked. There we go. Healthy female that is healthy female that is a non-smoker that is really good shape, able to get approved for this. Now, obviously, you can also design these for kids, right? I'm not going to dive into that, but I just think it's important if you're going to be structuring these for infinite banking, you need to know that you got to focus on that 7-pay number. And if you don't know what the 7-pay is, you should probably be asking that. I've had clients come to me and ask me to review their IUL illustrations, and because I have run literally, I don't even know, but thousands. Like I probably do hundreds of these things on a monthly basis. So probably thousands and thousands and thousands of IUL illustrations over the years that I've been in the industry, which is 8.5 years now. I pretty much know in the back of my head, like what numbers are when you call and ask me. And I had this one gentleman ask me about an IUL quote that he had gotten for $1 million in life insurance. He's 36 or 37 years old at the time. And he only wanted to save $1,000 a month. And he's like, yeah, I'm trying to, maybe do some infinite banking. I'm trying to do some real estate stuff with this. She's quoting me $1 million death benefit. And he's like, I just don't feel right about it. I don't feel right about it. Like, is this correct? And I looked at that with him, and I was, honestly, I didn't even have to look at it. I just flat out told him, I was like, I don't need to look at it. I already know that your max is probably gonna be closer to 60 to 70K a year. So fortunately, a lot of agents, I don't want to assume that they're doing these to get cash, to get a higher commission, right? Which is the case, because if you sell your death benefit to a client, you're essentially going to make more money because you're increasing the target premium. but I think a lot of people are just really poorly educated on how to do this. So that's kind of the point of the live today, is to educate not just agents that are out there trying to design these for clients, but also clients that are getting the quotes from the agents, that you guys can think and ask them, what's the guideline annual premium? What's the 7-pay? What's the minimum? What's my target inside the policy? You have a right to know all of those details. Please ask your agent that information and let them know what you want this policy to do. And they are obligated to tell all that to you. So I really recommend that you do your own research and you figure it out. If you're looking for a really good team to work with, me and my team are very, very, very well trained, been doing this for a very long time. Any way you could possibly want to design these things, we can do it. We work in the United States. We are now branching off into Mexico, which is really exciting. And we are branching into Canada here very soon. So if you're up there, my Canadian brothers and sisters, we're coming soon. So if you want to connect with us, you're welcome to send me a message below this video and let me know that you were on this live. You can also direct message me over on Instagram, or you can click the link in my bio to get immediately connected to my calendar, where you can schedule a call with me or with somebody on my team. So hopefully this was helpful. This will be saved. You guys can go back to it at a future date and share it with somebody that you think needs to hear it. And I look forward to connecting with y'all